This video is going to be about the Faustian Bargain, a deal with the devil exemplified by the legend of Faust and the figure of Mephistopheles, trading your soul for youth, knowledge, wealth, fame, power, etc. This on the screen is from a movie poster for the movie Apartment 7A, a prequel to Rosemarys Baby. Notice the Jesus Christ pose or the Antichrist type pose, because I will come back around to that symbolism at the end of this video. People talk about the Faustian Bargain a lot regarding Hollywood, but this also applies to musicians, politicians, corporate leaders, and other influencers. Pride works on all of us, but in this video I'm going to talk about the Faustian Bargain in terms of how the Nephilim overlords use it with their puppets who work in media. Books, plays, theater, movie, TV shows, music, even politics, and how that has an influence on the culture of the masses. Faustus was a German alchemist, astrologer, and magician. Dr. Faust became the subject of folk legend in books, ballads, and plays. In those legends, Faust is highly successful, yet dissatisfied with his life, which leads him to make a pact with the devil at a crossroads. Faust is irrevocably damned because he prefers human knowledge over divine knowledge. A quote from that story is, "He laid the Holy Scriptures behind the door and under the bench, refused to be called a doctor of theology, but preferred to be styled doctor of medicine." The Faust legend has been the basis for many literary, artistic, cinematic, and musical works through the ages. The legend was made popular when it was written into a play by Kit Marlowe, The Tragical History of the Life and Death of Dr. Faustus. I've talked about Kit Marlowe, the Elizabethan playwright, a lot on this channel because he is characterized in a lot of vampire movies. The vampire theme runs through so much of the media, which I also talk about on this channel. The Only Lovers Left Alive vampire movie, which is themed Masonic, it is implied that Kit Marlowe was actually Shakespeare. So they are probably hinting us that Kit Marlowe was part of the Spear Shaker Rosicrucian Literary Society. Kit Harington, who played the character Jon Snow in real life, was named for Kit Marlowe. Kit Harington's father is Sir David Harington, a baronet. Kit is related to King James I and John Harington, a knight of Queen Elizabeth I. Game of Thrones is a profound recent example of how media was used by the elite to promote polytheist religion and affect our culture. But this promotion of polytheist and pagan religion applies to literature, plays, theater, music, movies, TV, video games, ceremonial rituals at sporting events, and even the Bohemian Grove, which is themed after Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream with Athena's owl as the mascot. This applies to social media also, and we should be extremely discerning. I'll mention a couple of patents that are out there. Number 1, micro-impulse radar detection of a human demographic and delivery of targeted media content. The other patent I'll mention is media output with micro-impulse radar feedback of a physiological response. So I'm not sure if those are in play yet, but maybe. So I've talked a lot about Shakespeare, writings, and theater, and how most major actors from Britain are trained that way and at the Royal Academies, and many times they are knighted. I've also talked about the history of Broadway, which is a continuation of that practice, which then transferred right on over to Hollywood, therefore embedding it into our culture, shaping our thinking and our spirit. And the powers that be know this. This is a quote from Sir James Fraser's book, The Golden Bough, which is all about witchcraft. Sir James Fraser was a Knight of the Crown. He wrote, "Magic, religion, and science are nothing but theories of thought, and as science has supplanted its predecessors, so it may hereafter be itself superseded by some more perfect hypothesis." He says perhaps by some totally different way of looking at the phenomena, perhaps by registering shadows on the screen. So he's talking about movies because that book was written in the late 1800s, right as movies were coming to screen. He's also talking about registering spirits of his ancestors on the screen because his books promote ancestor worship and necromancy as a form of witchcraft. Last night I watched the movie Apartment 7A, released this year, but a prequel to Rosemarys Baby, meaning set to have taken place before the events of Rosemarys Baby in the same Dakota building in New York, the Gothic building. It turns out this is another perfect example historically of all I just described because it crosses the boundary of literature to London theater, into Broadway, in New York, movies, eventually in Hollywood, and even music with the Beatles reference. Another reason it's a perfect example is because it's in theme with the Faustian Bargain. It's set in New York in 1965 in the Dakota building with the same witch as the Castevets. The plot's similar. An aspiring actress trying to make it on Broadway in Manhattan and getting baited into a Faustian bargain via witchcraft. The main actress, dancer, is Terry. She's the one who dies at the beginning of the first movie, making way for Rosemary, and Terry lands on this Volkswagen Beetle in front of the Dakota building. And that same Beetle is featured in this movie, Apartment 7A. That's how the movie ends, with Terry falling to her death on top of the Beetle. This is definitely an allusion to John Lennon, the druid, being assassinated or being sacrificed outside that building in the 80s. This is a movie poster for Rosemarys Baby from the 60s. And this is an album cover for one of John Lennon's albums that Imagine was on, that was released after that, but before he was assassinated. Same symbolism. Definitely meant to look the same. Anyway, the actress character Terry, she is an aspiring theater actress in the movie Apartment 7A, and the Castevets are pretending to help her career, but they are really trying to impregnate her with the beast, same as in Rosemary's Baby. In Rosemary's Baby, Roman Castevet said that his father, who was also a witch, was a theater manager, and that's how he had connections and how he could promote Rosemary's husband's career. So Roman's father, who was also a witch, being a theater manager, is important to the Faustian Bargain. The play that Terry is auditioning for in New York in the movie Apartment 7A is The Pale Crook. Notice the sign, The Pale Crook. Also notice that the other play is Dracula. You can see that in the right hand corner here. But I'll leave that alone for now. The Pale Crook is definitely a pseudonym for a famous play from the 1800s, which is known as the first musical on Broadway, titled The Black Crook. Notice the fonts are the same. Down here in the bottom left, The Black Crook, and on this movie advertisement or theater advertisement. I recognize this right away because I included the Black Crook in a video I did about impresarios, which went into some history about the elite's involvement in Broadway and vaudeville, including the Astors and some Rev 2.9ers. This investment eventually gave way to Hollywood movies with similar origins, and I will play a little bit of that video now. My video, The Impresarios.
But Al Heyman was most well known for his production of The Black Crook, which was musical theater that had great success in the 1800s and was identified as the first modern musical. The Black Crook premiered in Broadway, and it was a Faustian romantic comedy, which was originally performed in London. It was produced importing European novelty acts to America, the idea based on a fairy play or fairy opera, which also originated in London. In The Black Crook, evil, wealthy Count Wolfenstein wants to marry a lovely village girl, Amina, so he arranges for her fiancé to fall into the hands of the Black Crook, master of black magic, who makes a pact with the devil that he can live forever if he provides a fresh soul, and that turns out to be the fiancé of Amina. So on his way, that fiancé discovers a buried treasure and saves the life of a dove, and then the dove magically transforms into a human form as a fairy of the Golden Realm. And then
So a fairy is a demon. I believe some of the first silent movies were also about fairies, and so it continues. The Black Crook's music composer was trained at the Royal Academy in London. His name is Thomas Baker, and the music composer is a pivotal aspect of that play, The Black Crook, because it's a Broadway musical. Thomas Baker was partner in with another impresario, Laura Keene, at the Variety House on Broadway in Manhattan for this play, which had an unusually long run, over 400 shows. An impresario is a person who organizes and finances concerts, plays, operas, and performs a role in stage arts that is similar to a movie producer or a TV producer. I read that the important precursor play to The Black Crook, also composed by Baker and managed by Laura Keene, had an unusually long run on Broadway, and that play was The Seven Daughters of Satan, based on a German book, The Seven Daughters of Lucifer, which was also originally performed in London. So Laura Keene was a British stage actress who came from a family of theater people, and she was famous in the Royal Olympic Theatre and the Royal Lyceum Theatre in London before moving to the United States, where she eventually became an actress and a theater manager. She was married to an officer in the British Army, Henry Wellington Taylor, who was the nephew of Arthur Wellesley, 1st Duke of Wellington. This guy has a lot of letters after his name: Order of the Garter, Order of the Bath, Royal Guelphic Order, Privy Council, Fellowship of the Royal Society. But this Laura Keene was the main actress that she played the leading role in the play Our American Cousin. And Our American Cousin was the play that President Lincoln was attending when he was assassinated. So that play was a comedy about an obnoxious American who goes to visit an aristocratic British family. The irony of all this is that these actors and actresses, and others like the impresarios, musicians, politicians, and corporate leaders, etc., including modern-day Hollywood, are all part of this Faustian bargain. The actors and actresses literally play it out on the screen in front of our eyes, as we have just seen in our example, but I don't think they fully realize what they're doing and what this means for them. I shared a video from Hurting Humanity on my community tab yesterday, which covers this witchcraft with regards to political theater. He covered this video tweeted by Musk titled Dark MAGA Assemble. I'll play that political theater now, tweeted by Elon Musk. This video was.
He calls it Dark MAGA.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm Dark MAGA.
My sole and exclusive mission is to go to work for our country, to go to work for you. It's time to deliver a victory for the American people. We don't win anymore, but we are going to start winning again.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm Dark Gothic MAGA.
From mountain to mountain, from ocean to ocean, hear these words. You will never be ignored again. And yes, together, we will make
Whoa. Watch this.
America great again.
Do you see that? That's witchcraft symbolism. I hope you see that. I'm not going to play the rest of this. This is another Faustian bargain. And I'm going to end this video with a comment from my video, Blood Angel. I did a video about the book Blood Angel, written by Justine Musk, Elon's ex. And this book definitely falls into the same categories I'm talking about, because she wrote about the Watchers in that book, fallen angels, and how they mated with human women. And their lineage, who were sometimes mistaken for vampires, were trying to maintain their bloodline. And actually, I am going to play a little bit more of this because Elon talks about Gothic Dark MAGA.
bring back our borders. We will bring back our wealth. And we will bring back our dreams. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
I hope you noticed some of that Antichrist pose symbolism in this video. Let's see if I can find it. It goes by so fast. Well, anyway, I'll link it. You can play it yourself. There's Antichrist holding arms out symbolism, and Elon refers to himself as Dark Gothic MAGA. And the reason I mention that is because in this tweet, Musk's tweet, where he tweets Norvis Ordo Seclorum, or New Order of the Ages, you see this child on his shoulders in the pose that he's doing, the Jesus Christ pose or the Antichrist pose. Looks a lot like this one. The kid on his shoulders, Elon's shoulders, is holding his hands out in the same manner. And that same manner was in the video that I just played that Elon tweeted out. So that child looks like he's about the same age as Elon and Grimes' first child, the one named XAEAXII, which sounds similar to his AI company XAI. So I started this video talking about the legend of Faust and the figure of Mephistopheles, and I want to restate that in Elon's video interview with Jordan Peterson, he said that his dog was named Hobbes, who he likened to Mephistopheles, who Peterson likened to Lucifer. Anyway, the comment left by the subscriber is Peter Thiel, who took over PayPal, names most of his companies after elven words for the Lord of the Rings. Our NHS records are now held by Thiel's company Palantir, which is a seeing stone used by the Dark Wizard in the Rings trilogy. So that's the end of the comment, but I'm just going to say this crosses over from media to politics, but also the corporate world, and eventually the technocracy that will govern the masses in the beast system. Thanks for listening.